RuPaul says every time I bat my eyelashes, it's a political statement because I think when you are a queer person and you are in media, whether you like it or not, it's political that you're there.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Duke's Download. Today, I am beyond grateful to be chatting with the one and only Ross Mathews. I've admired Ross for years. He's been a joyful, hilarious, and deeply authentic voice in LGBTQ plus media since bursting onto the scene as Ross the Intern on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. I remember first discovering him and becoming a big fan on Chelsea Lately with Chelsea Handler. And I remember watching with my mom and dad when I was a teenager. And that was my sort of introduction to the genius of Ross Mathews. But he has since gone on to become beloved co-host on the Drew Barrymore show, I should say. I don't know if you know this, Ross, but my mom is friends or friendly with Drew, and Drew actually inducted the Go-Go's, my mom's band, into
Yeah,
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so
I
we're
did
big
know
fans.
that.
We're big
Um,
fans of Drew over here too.
well, she's the best. And for starters, like, thank you for having me on. And I know we
Of
have
course.
mutual friends too. So
Yeah.
I already know you're a good person by the people who you know. So I'm really thrilled to be here.
So
And like,
sweet.
thanks for saying all that. Thank you for saying
It's
all that.
true. Well, I mean, it also goes without saying that since Chelsea Lately, Drew Barrymore Show, longtime judge on RuPaul's Drag Race, the host of 90 Day Fiancé Tell All specials, which is also very important, and the author of a heartfelt children's book, Tío and Tío, which he wrote with his husband. I want to get your husband's name right, by the way. Is it Wellington?
It's spelled
Wellington.
Wellington, like with Thon, but pronounced like the beef, Wellington.
Wellington. Okay, I see.
Like the Duke, but he always says like the beef.
Exactly. Well, my partner is Latino as well, so I know there's some. There's always his last name is Pagan, but it's Pagan. There's some. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, you get it then.
I wanted to start by saying, you've had such an incredible career arc, obviously. Um, what is for you? Now that you've become a staple of American pop culture. Um, I know this is maybe a tough question, but is there one moment in your career that you look back on and go like, this was sort of the defining moment, or a moment that was particularly surreal or sort of cemented this feeling within yourself of, this is it. This is
Oh my
this is
God.
everything I dreamed of.
Can I? Well, there's a few things. Like, I'll just tell you truthfully.
Yeah,
I wish this wasn't the case, but this is 25 years since I started on the Tonight Show, which is
that's pretty
wild if I think about
amazing.
it. Because especially because my skin looks so good. So right, how does that make any sense? It
It
doesn't add up.
does. It
But
does.
uh, but what's so weird is even 25 years in, like when you say that a staple in pop culture, my first thought is like until it goes away, you still think that it could all end or come crashing down or something. So I don't know exactly how to answer it. It's a great question, but I will tell you this. There were a few moments when I was able to see outside myself and go, this is really cool. Um, One of those moments was when I had my talk show Hello Ross, which ran for a couple seasons on E. We did that in the same building as Chelsea Lately, and I drove up to that building for so long, and it said Chelsea Lately on the side of it. And then one day I pulled up, and it said Chelsea Lately and Hello Ross on it, and I was just like, okay, oh, okay, like no matter what happens in the world, my name was on a building. Yes, it was paint, and as soon as it was canceled, they painted over it. But for 2 seasons, so like little
Yeah.
things like that, where it's I don't know if you can see behind me here in my office at home. I
Mhm.
have pictures of myself from the elementary school, framed on the wall, and I do that because like that is still he's still here. That kid is still the same person inside. So those moments are the ones when I want to go back to Little Ross and be like, oh my god, oh my god. So those are the best ones.
I mean, absolutely. I think it's important sometimes, like, to stop and like reflect on your life, especially for someone like you, where I'm sure everything is moving at like a million miles an hour constantly, and you have to just kind of stop and reflect and take stock of all the incredible things that have happened.
Yeah.
One of those things is you wrote a children's book called Tío and Tío, which was based on your wedding in Mexico. Um, what has the response been like from families, and how does it feel to put a joyful, inclusive queer family story into the world for kids.
Yeah, it's great, and I particularly love it because I wrote it with my husband, who is an educator and an administrator and way smarter than me. And so I had written a couple other books, Man Up and Name Drop, that were just by me and about me and just my sensibility and sort of just silly and fun. And it was interesting to write with him because like we wrote it together and I would like write what happened in the scene. It's all based true. It is a true story based on our ring bearers at the wedding, who are our nephews, and sort of seeing them practice and rehearse and realizing like, oh my God, they're taking this really seriously, and how important it is that no matter age, if showing up to for your family is the most important thing. Right. And so, but writing it with Welly, my husband, I call him Welly, I got to see up close like how smart he is, because I would write something and he'd be like, you are like leaving so much meat on the bone. Like in terms of his POV as an educator, to say, here's an opportunity for parents and educators to pause and have a conversation about something. And just through that lens, I thought was so fascinating. But then when you talk about writing a book that does have a queer family and is set at a queer wedding, I will say, like, it's not like there was an agenda to do that. It's never like, it was never an agenda to sort of do that, but it is innate. RuPaul says every time I bat my eyelashes, it's a political statement, because I think when you are a queer person and you are in media, whether you like it or not, it's political that you're there, because we're used as a political wedge. So this story is just a simple story about a family. But I understand that it's more than that.
Well, it kind of, unfortunately, I mean, you would think that by 2026, at a time where these sort of things are, to your point, just innate or just, but unfortunately, in a time where we're seeing people trying to, silence and sort of, and do away with, and erase queer stories, it's really important.
Yeah, it is. And like, but almost purposefully, I didn't think about it that way when we were writing it, because I don't think about it. When I walk out of the house, I don't think I'm walking out as a gay man, and I just, it was just my family. I just wrote a cute story about something we saw, but I'm also not naive. I understand. So what was the response? The response surprisingly was positive. But I mean, you have to remember, I'm in New York and LA, so I'm going to like, in a liberal media bubble, but maybe that's by design too. So we didn't get a lot of resistance. I will say, there's bookstores that didn't want it. There were people who had issues with it, but they didn't read the book. So anytime that kind of came up, my only response was like, read the book and get back to me.
Absolutely. Well, you have a sequel coming out too, right? Next year?
Yeah, we've written a sequel, so stay tuned. We'll see. Well, I mean, yes. And what I want to do is just tell the truth. And so we have to like pay attention to our nephews and see what the next story is. So we'll see what that is.
On a personal level, this is something that really speaks to me, because I've been on a wellness journey for the last few years myself. I mean, both on a physical level, also just, spiritually and internally.
Yeah.
What has the mindset shift been for you in terms of prioritizing your health while still enjoying life and working as much as you do?
There was it's been a lifelong struggle, I will say. If you've watched me on TV at all in the past 25 years, every time you've seen me, I've probably been at a different weight, right? And I think, and that
I've been there, believe me.
Yeah, right. And that struggle is something you can't hide, because it manifests physically on your body. So whatever that internal struggle is, people are seeing it. So I will say it's been a long journey for me. I think you have to find your why first and then figure out the how. So I didn't really discover my why I wanted to get healthy until my mom died. And my father had died when I was 24. My mom passed when I was 40 back in 2020. And I remember thinking, like, I have to, like, I was so broken open. I was like, I have to find something to take away from this. There has to be a point to this other than just grief, just complete sadness. And what I decided, and maybe it was a message from mom, was that like the biggest gift I could give my parents would be to outlive them, to figure out a way to stay on this planet, to do everything in my part. I mean, I could get hit by a bus or whatever tomorrow, but like to do everything in my control to stick around and contribute and be here and enjoy it. And that's what I decided to do. And I saw something literally on Facebook. You know how you're scrolling, but like sometimes it like hits. Something said nothing changes if nothing changes. And to me that was like, oh, well that makes so much sense. If I want things to be different, I have to act differently. And so I just started trying to figure it out. I talked to a nutritionist, which sounded like something only a Kardashian could afford, but really it was like accessible and people can do it. And I talked to somebody and I started figuring out food. When I was really young, we didn't figure out food. We ate what we could afford, you know? So that basis didn't exist for me. I was way too old before I realized you could make mashed potatoes and they just didn't come out of the box dehydrated, right? I mean, really, truly. So I just started figuring it out for myself. This was before like Ozempic or anything was available. Now, mind you, had it been, I would have used it. I don't shame. I wish I could. I wish I did, but I didn't. I went a different route. I figured I really tried to learn about my body and about food and work on my relationship with it. And it's a daily struggle still, but 80 pounds down almost 7 years later.
That's incredible.
And yeah, it's what it is it's like a determination to forgive yourself when you inevitably mess up and then just don't let that deter you.
No, and it's true that like so much of food is psychological too.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of what I think people, because my mom had an eating disorder. I mean, my mom, I wouldn't necessarily say I had eating disorder. I mean, I went to Overeaters Anonymous, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, those are things I've dealt with, having a complicated relationship with food. But I feel like a lot of people that don't experience that don't necessarily understand that, a lot of it is internal. It's not just like as simple as, and you're right. A lot of people don't have the knowledge either about, they don't, I mean, I still eat, processed food probably way more than I should. But I've gone up and down 50, 60 pounds over the course of the last 10 or so years. So it's really difficult, but
it is. You said something interesting about psychological. I call it the 90-10 rule for me with weight loss. It's 90% mental and 10% food. That's really what it is. I think because it's about the food noise and it's about the patterns and it's about the preparation and it's about the forgiveness and it's all about that. So, I'd love one day for someone to really figure it out, even with like Ozempic, things that make it a lot easier now and give you a tool. I want someone to help us figure out our brain too.
Well, and it's just the amount of brain space it's taken, when you're thinking about, should I not eat this? I know I shouldn't, but I should, or, and it's just unlike, I mean, this has been said many times, but the whole thing of like, unlike other addictions, not to take anything away from, alcohol or drugs or whatever, because, I've my mom and my family, my people in my family have dealt with that too. But, but food is so different in that, you can't just go cold turkey. You have to deal with, it's a constant choice. To make the right, it's a constant choice to make the right choice, if that makes sense.
I mean, honestly, that's exactly it. And then also like you have to address how you speak to yourself,
Right.
That's it too. And I still deal with that truth is we're going to do this forever, just so you know. There's no winning this fight. I remember one time I lost weight because I had been all these diets. One time I lost weight. The first time I lost 40 pounds and I celebrated by ordering 2 pizzas and eating them because I thought I won. I hit the goal.
Right.
And I realized there is no winning. The only way you don't lose is by staying in the fight.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem is when something bad happens, you're like, let me eat. And then when something great happens, you're like, let me eat.
It's what we know.
Reward myself.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we have to find other different rewards. We have to find the reward in the, I call them non-scale victories, where it's like the jeans fit or I'm not out of breath on the stairs or whatever that is, that needs to be the reward. We have to somehow rewire ourselves.
Not just the easy dopamine or sort of like, or, hits or, sugar hits or whatever it may be. As someone who's been out and proudly visible for quite a while and become, I would say one of the most prominent LGBTQ plus people in pop culture, how has representation and acceptance, in your view, evolved over time? And where do you still see room for growth?
It's evolved in a humongous way in terms of visibility. I mean, how old are you?
30, just turned 34.
Okay, so I'm 46. So I'm, what is that, 13 years older than you. So let's go to me when I was 13 years old, when you were born. I remember being gay and in a farm town up in Washington State and not knowing a single gay person, not seeing anyone gay on television that was openly gay, no storylines, no people. And I remember thinking to myself, truly meaning this, thinking, can I grow up? Because I didn't know if it was possible. Because what did a gay grown up look like?
Mm-hmm.
What did they act like? What did they sound like? What did they do? I had no idea and no way to see it. There was no internet. There was nothing. Maybe books.
I've never heard it said that way, but that makes, I mean, like, that's so true, is when you don't have, you have no idea of like what, like, not to go, I don't want to interrupt your answer, but like, I always found it so interesting, slightly different, but like, you know, I read Barack Obama's book about how, you know, Dreams from My Father, and he talked about how he had to learn what it meant to be a black man in America.
Mhm.
You know, he grew up in a a white family, and so, you know, again, different but similar in that if you're a gay person who doesn't grow up with any sense of what it means to be a gay man, or you know, then where does that come from, and how do you
And
form that
by the
identity?
way, in many ways, maybe it's why I am not typical, right?
Right.
Maybe it's, I don't know. I don't know. But it certainly was a struggle. And maybe there were, I've never thought about that. Maybe there were no constraints. So I got to invent what it was to be a gay man. You know, I didn't have to form that into anything. But I certainly had examples of men, but I can tell you I wasn't like them, you know? So it was interesting. And so what we see now when you talk about how has it changed, well, it's changed in such drastic ways. You know, just our show Drag Race is the prime example, but because it's the gayest thing that's ever existed on television. But you know, there are characters and shows and everything GLAAD does. People go, what does GLAAD do? GLAAD, that's why I work with GLAAD. That's why I've hosted the GLAAD Awards 7 times, because it provides what I didn't have when I was 13 years old, when you were born, right? It gives you context to see people. It's not about normalizing it. It already is normal. It's about
Right.
visualizing it and seeing it and understanding it. So that's how far we've come, which is extraordinary. Now, listen, of course, there's so much further to go, but it's also why when they do stupid crap like I don't know, down in Tennessee, they just changed Pride Month to Nuclear Family Month, and people ask me like, "What did you think?" And I was like, I just laugh because like it's too late, honey. You can't put this genie back in the bottle. You can try to change the name of something, but guess what? They know us now. They know who we are. We're not ashamed anymore. So you can't like if you're in a time machine, girl, you're by yourself. You're no one's riding shotgun. Go ahead. So I laugh at that. Of course, there are total just awful injustices that are not funny, but like that kind of futile effort to go back in time, the culture has moved on, and these dinosaurs will be obsolete soon.
You're right. RuPaul is, and RuPaul's Drag Race is such a perfect example. It's not only been a huge part of your life now and your career, but I mean, it's almost hard to put into words what a massive is even the, you know, isn't even suffice in terms. It's been completely transformative in terms of culture. I mean, not just gay culture, but you know, American and global pop culture. And
Yeah.
it's almost not even. I mean, it is inherently queer, but in a way, it's not even queer anymore. It's become, just like to your point, it's become so sort of just immersed and embedded. I mean, straight people watch, you know, RuPaul's Drag Race all the time.
It's still,
It's
by
not.
the way, I do want to correct one thing. It is still very queer. It is really, really
Yes,
queer.
it is.
But
It
but
is.
I hear what you're saying in that there's like this there's a mass audience. The audience isn't necessarily only queer. I
No,
do
right.
love
At
that our
least
audience,
anymore.
the queer audience, is very loyal. But it, you know, when I realized when we were doing Drag Race, I think it was season 8 or 9 or something, And I woke up on a Sunday and I got these texts and people were saying like, "Oh, did you see they talked about Drag Race on Saturday Night Live last night?" And I remember just like holding my phone and kind of being frozen because my initial reaction is, "Oh my God, they made fun of us." And I was protective of not myself, but like of us. And so I like begrudgingly turned it on and I put it on. And the whole skit was about a bunch of straight guys in a mechanic shop all admitting eventually that they all watched Drag Race. And I said out loud at the time, I go, "We're not the punchline."
Wow.
And that was major. That was, and that's when I realized something's happening. And that's when it really became, I think it started to become what it is now.
Without a doubt. No, I mean that you're right. That right there sort of exemplifies exactly the impact that it's had.
Yeah.
On a personal level, you and your husband have built a beautiful life and family together. What has marriage and that partnership taught you about love, especially as a public figure in the LGBTQ plus community?
Well, I can just tell you what it feels like. That something I didn't expect to feel when I got married was like this feeling that I can do anything now, because if I fail miserably, which I have, if I fail, like he's there, he will pick me up and he'll love me through it. And I didn't expect that. And that is such a freedom to have, like as a creative person or an entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, like to know that you can take a risk because you're not alone in it. And by it, I mean life is so freeing because, well, that's a safety net. Yeah. I love my husband. He's like, I chose really well, really well. He's so, I mean, I think he's beautiful and all of that, but he is like just very strong moral compass. If something's wrong in his bones, he has to say something or he can't move on. Now me, if something's wrong in my bones, I'm like, "Clocked, good to know. Thank you very much. Have a good day." But he has to say something and it makes me entirely uncomfortable, but I see what comes out of that friction, and like beautiful things come out of friction. Diamonds, right? Not to be like hoity-toity, but like diamonds come out of friction, and like that's an analogy, right? But it is true, and so it's actually he's made me kind of rethink how I present in the world. That I don't need to be human lubricant to make things okay, right? That I can say the uncomfortable thing, or I can. So my point is, we can learn. When you're in a good partnership, you should be learning from each other, challenging each other, having each other's back, but really learning.
How do you balance your public and private persona?
Easy. They're the same thing. They're the same thing. I'm the same in each one. So that's the easy part. There's no balancing. Now, how do you balance work and a private life? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of, yes, but also would you say that the persona because whether it was, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but like for instance, when you first started, you had, you kind of had the persona of being, you might, and I mean this is a positive thing, but the gay best friend vibe, like and I mean, was that something was your persona something that was sort of crafted?
No, oh my God, no. When you have to
purely organic.
When I started as Ross the intern on the Tonight Show, they weren't looking for me. There was not an opening that I applied for. There wasn't like a casting call that I auditioned for. I was there. I was working. I delivered that morning when I first started. I delivered the mail. I got everyone coffee. I answered the phones, and I was working behind the scenes at Leno for free, mind you. I was working as an unpaid intern, but I don't even think they have anymore. But it was important. It was showbiz boot camp, and I just wanted to know everything. So I was just talking to everybody. What's a writer do? What's a producer do? Who pulls the cord that makes the curtain open? I want to know everything. And one day there was just an opening, and they just like, "Oh, you know who's funny and interesting is Ross. We should send him out." That's how it happened. So like a persona There was
Crazy.
no persona. It was me. Now, I will tell you, sometimes when I go back and watch those, it's uncomfortable because just imagine watching yourself at 22 being really excited about it. It's like you're like, oh my God, tone it down, you know. But I also love him. I love how unabashedly excited he was because it was completely authentic,
Absolutely.
completely. And I don't know. There were a few years when I kind of like didn't want to talk about those years because I thought, oh, I'm better now. I'm better now. But like, I gotta love those. Just like we gotta love ourselves when we were at our heaviest or whatever, you know? I always, whenever I think about it, I take out that picture of we all have the fat picture, right? And I just like, I love you so much. I kind of feel that way about Ross the intern, which is me, but I mean
Absolutely.
that version of myself, that those years, I love him.
No, it's. I mean, you've always been brilliant, and you've always. I mean, it obviously goes without saying, yeah, it's shone through to the world. Hence, why you are where you are now.
Thanks.
Um, I will say, it's so funny with 90 Day Fiance. Like, my mom and dad and I all have called I've called it our guilty pleasure
Hmm.
for many
So
years
you
now.
watch,
Huh?
you
Oh
watch
yeah,
it. Oh, God bless.
absolutely.
God bless.
Absolutely. I mean, what it was quite a fun pivot on your part. I mean, what's it like diving into that world? And do you have a favorite chaotic moment from the recent specials?
I love that you call it a pivot. I will say because it is
Well,
like
I mean,
I know what you
it's
mean. It's a different tool in my tool belt, right?
yeah,
But that's why
absolutely.
I love it. I love this for from Google Earth looking at myself. I love it because because I love the show. And
Yeah,
what there's something that
it's brilliant.
happens.
Brilliant
It is a
TV.
great show. Um and there's something that happens in my career that is so me. If you knew me, I always get like close to the sun, if that makes sense. Like I
Mhm.
loved Drag Race when I used to watch it and love it. And then somehow it just came to me the way it all happened, and I'm there, right? I always wanted a talk show, a daytime. I always wanted to be Regis. That was the goal since I was 7, you know. And now I'm on the Drew show, you know. I would watch Rosie O'Donnell and say when I was a kid and go, I'm gonna know her. Not like I want to know her. I'd be like, I'm going to know her. And now I know
Absolutely.
her. So I would watch 90 Day, and in my bones I would think I'm going to do something with this. I know I'm going to do so. I even before this all came up, I was even talking to my friend about doing a podcast. I'm like, I just have to do something about 90 Day. And then this happened. And again, going back to that authenticity, I think that's why it just makes so much sense because I've been talking about the show for years on my social on the Drew Barrymore Show. Drew even surprised me with Stacey and Darcy on the show. So I mean, this is so authentic that I'm doing it, but also just as a human, as like as someone who's now 46 and evolving, and I do you want this is a long answer? Can I go into this?
No, absolutely. Please.
It's interesting when you come from late night and then Chelsea lately and stuff. You are always chasing a punchline, and that I got really good at that. And then what daytime TV has really allowed me to do is sort of like be funny, but also be like talk about things that people who are known for being funny never get to talk about sadness, about struggles, about heartache, about the inner voice, about real stuff, you know? And
Mhm.
so now for me, 90 Day is a kind of a beautiful extension of that because I'm going in there and I'm going to be funny on these tell alls, but it's not about me. It's about getting to the truth, about giving people an opportunity to explain themselves, to question themselves. About it's almost like therapy. And I know
Mhm.
I couldn't have done this gig when I was younger. So for me, it's just like it's like the next extension, and it's really fun to not be put in a box, and we do that a lot. So I don't know. I to me, when I got this gig, um, it was maybe it was one of those moments from your first question, where moments when you realize like you're doing something. To me, that was like, oh my God, 25 years in, I get to show them this part of me.
Mhm. Well, that's kind of the beauty of media now is that you're not confined to having to just do one
You used to
type of
be,
show or
used to
yeah,
be.
exactly. You were like if you hosted The Price is Right or Jeopardy or whatever, yeah, God bless Alex Trebek, but like that kind of thing. That was what you were known for, and that was it, and that was what you did potentially for if you were lucky for 25 or 30 years or whatever. But now you can do 5 different things at once, right? Write books, podcasts, children's books, 90 Day Fiancé, RuPaul. I mean, there's so many. Drew Barrymore. I mean, you're maybe the prime example of somebody who's created this sort of this multimedia empire. But are there other things that you're exploring, or on top of everything else?
Yeah.
What are some of your passion, your passion priorities?
I have well, I cook. Part of my journey has been my recipes, and so it's much more than cooking. It's like an idea and a lifestyle. Recipes is about cracking the code on food and texture with like still maintaining your health journey. And so I built this community. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of people in there talking all the time. So I'm working on a cookbook.
Yes.
I've never hosted a game show. I host games on the Drew Show all the time, but I want to host a game show because I've had the kind of moment when I didn't win the lottery, but I won the lottery in life, and I know what one moment can do. And I think about if you're on a game show and you win, like I do this show 25 words or less, and when you win, these people win $10,000. That can change your life, you know? And so I want to do that for people. And I have a couple really personal, profound projects that I'm working on, and I feel like I'm sort of ready to share. Like we talked a little bit about 90 Day, but like parts of myself that I haven't shared yet. So I don't know. I just feel like, just even to echo what I said about Wellington, like I just feel like there's nothing I can't. I don't mean this as like I think I'm the shit. I just mean like there's nothing I can't try to do. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you are the shit.
No, I'm a work in progress, but I just feel like I now am free out of this own thing in my head a little bit to just be who I am.
Well, thank you, Ross. I'm so grateful to you. I mean, I could talk to you for hours, but congratulations on all of your well-deserved success, and I'm so grateful just to be able to talk to you. All the best to you and Wellington. Can't wait to see the new book coming out next year.
Yes, stay tuned, everyone.
And can't wait to see more 90 Day and RuPaul's, of course. Thank you so much.
It was a real joy. Thank you, and good job.
Thank you for joining me today on Duke's Download. This podcast is part of Pride House Media, hosted by me, Duke Mason, and produced and edited by Josh Rosenzweig. Original music composed by Nell Balaban. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And while you're there, leave us a rating and review. It really helps others to discover the show. I'd love to stay connected with you, so join the conversation by following me at James Duke Mason on Instagram and X, or by emailing me at questions@dukesdownload.com.